The entire world of AI is being built on this, well, let's call it an unstable foundation. And the walls are starting to shake. We're seeing these massive, eye-watering deals being signed, but just behind the headlines, the very systems we're racing to build are teetering on the brink.
$100 billion. Let that sink in. That's the mind-blowing amount Meta just casually bet on AI chips from a single company, AMD. This is one of the biggest AI deals we have ever seen, and it's the clearest sign yet that the AI arms race is getting seriously hot.
But here's the thing. This deal, and a ton of other chaotic news from this week, it all points to a really dangerous secret about where AI is headed. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the one key idea that connects all of this chaos into a single, clear picture.
So to really get a handle on the problem, you have to see this moment for what it is. It's a frantic, high-stakes gamble, with tech giants pouring unbelievable amounts of money onto a foundation that's, frankly, pretty shaky.
Let's dig into the details of this Meta deal, because they're pretty wild. We're talking about enough electricity to power a small country just for these GPUs. And Meta isn't just buying chips, they're getting a potential 10% ownership stake in AMD if things go well. Now, the really crucial part? This deal comes just days after they inked another massive deal with NVIDIA. They're not just buying a few things, they are trying to buy all the things. It's a strategy called dual sourcing, but on a scale that is just completely unprecedented.
And you know, it's not just Meta. Dell is absolutely smashing Wall Street's expectations with its AI server sales. ASML, the one company that makes the machines that make the best chips, they're cranking up production on their next-generation tools. The entire industry isn't just spending money, it's in a state of hyper-acceleration.
So this all begs a huge question, right? What happens when this unstoppable freight train of investment and scale meets the immovable object of, well, reality? Because it's already starting to hit some very, very hard walls, both political and physical.
And this is where the agitation really starts to kick in. This completely uncontrolled scaling is creating a new kind of Cold War. It's not just between countries, but a war between corporate ideologies and a war against the actual physical limits of our planet.
Just look at this standoff. On one side, you have Anthropic, one of the top AI labs out there. They're saying their model, Claude, has these hard ethical red lines. It just can't be used for certain military actions or for spying. But then, on the other side, you've got the US Pentagon, and they're demanding that any AI contract allow for all lawful purposes, which is, a much broader, much more aggressive way of looking at things. So the Pentagon's response wasn't exactly a negotiation. It was an ultimatum. They reportedly told Anthropic, look, either you accept our terms or we designate you a supply chain risk. And that's a huge threat. It means no defense contractor in the entire country could legally use their technology. For a company that's about to have a massive IPO, that is a potentially crippling blow. This is where AI safety theory smacks right into the hard reality of state power.
And the crisis isn't just political. The actual physical infrastructure of AI is groaning under the strain. We're now seeing serious talk about making AI data centers provide their own power, just so they don't cause everyone's electricity bills to skyrocket. And engineers are warning about something they call the copper cliff, a point where the copper wiring inside data centers literally can't handle the sheer volume of data needed for the next wave of AI. The boom is hitting real physical limits.
Okay, so we've got this massive, out-of-control build-out that's hitting political and physical walls. It seems totally unstable, right? But what if the solution was already starting to emerge from inside AI itself? Let's talk about how we can finally crack open the AI black box.
So the fundamental danger in this whole arms race is the black box problem. We're building these incredibly powerful systems, but we don't really understand how they think. Their internal logic is a mystery. They're unpredictable, and that's terrifying. How can you safely deploy a technology across the entire globe if you can't control what it does or even understand why it does it?
But a huge breakthrough was just published that might give us the key to unlock that black box. It's a new algorithm called the Recursive Feature Machine, or RFM for short, and it shows us a really clear path from these uncontrollable systems toward an AI that's transparent and, most importantly, steerable.
So how does this thing work? It's actually surprisingly elegant. First, you show the model a bunch of examples of a concept you care about, say deception. The RFM then figures out the exact internal signal, the vector, that represents deception inside the AI's virtual brain. And then, once you have that, you can use it to steer the AI. You can literally dial its deceptiveness up or down, just like a volume knob.
And here is the part that is just absolutely mind-blowing. Look how efficient this is. We're talking about needing fewer than 500 examples, taking less than a minute of training time on a single GPU. This isn't some theoretical tool that only a massive lab could use. This is a practical technique that researchers and regulators can use right now to make AI safer and more controllable.
Okay, but controlling the models is really only half the battle. What about those physical walls we were just talking about? The energy and materials? Well, it turns out AI is also starting to solve the very resource problems that it created in the first place. You see, the whole AI hardware boom, and especially the electric vehicles and wind turbines we need to power it, is super reliant on rare earth magnets. These materials are not only expensive and environmentally destructive to mine, but they're also controlled by a really fragile global supply chain. It's a massive bottleneck for the future of AI. But get this. By using an AI system to comb through just tons of scientific papers and predict material properties, researchers have just identified 25 materials that we never knew about before that could potentially replace those rare earth magnets entirely.
And this is a total game changer. This AI-driven process could take materials discovery from something that takes decades and shrink it down to just a few months. It's a direct solution to one of the biggest physical roadblocks, holding back the energy we need to power AI's future.
So, we've seen the chaotic problem, the agitation, and now the first glimmers of a solution. It's time to connect all the dots and reveal that secret I promised you at the very beginning. Take a look at the major updates from just the past week or two. xAI's Grok now has 4 internal agents that literally debate answers among themselves. OpenAI is rolling out its operator agent for complex, multi-step tasks. Alibaba is marketing something they call agentic intelligence. Do you see the pattern here? The pattern is unmistakable. They are all converging on the exact same idea. And here it is. Here's the secret. The next huge phase of AI is not about a slightly better chatbot. It's the shift from thinking of AI as a single tool that you command to thinking of it as an AI team that you manage. We are moving away from single, giant models to entire ecosystems of specialized, autonomous agents that work together to solve problems. So, all that chaos we started with, the $100 billion bets, the fights with the Pentagon, the desperate race to overcome physical limits, it wasn't just random noise. It was the frantic, messy sound of this new paradigm being born. A more capable, more controllable, and more organized form of artificial intelligence. And believe me, it is just getting started. And this brings us to the real question for you. Now that you can think of AI not just as a tool, but as your own personal team of experts, what's the first complex problem you would have them solve? I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments.